Bold pairings get all the glory. Heavy cigars, strong spirits, big flavors. But here's the secret. Real mastery lives in subtlety. Tonight, we're chasing balance, where mild cigars and smooth rum quietly steal the spotlight.
Welcome to the Cigar and Whiskey Podcast, where every episode takes you deeper into the stories, traditions, and flavors that make cigars and spirits unforgettable. So pour a glass, light a stick, and settle in.
Welcome back to the Cigar and Whiskey Guide Podcast. This is where we explore the world of fine cigars, smooth spirits, and the stories that connect them. Today, I'm joined, for the first time, by my new co-host and partner in pairing, Abby Inglewood. Abby's going to be joining me for these conversations as we light up, pour something good, and talk about what makes each pairing special.
Hey, Bo, it's great to be here. I've been looking forward to this. We've shared a lot of stories over the past year, and now it's nice to finally pull up a chair, light a cigar, and have the conversation out loud.
Exactly. And today's episode is a perfect one to start with. We're diving into something smooth and accessible, which rums pair best with mild and creamy cigars. These are the cigars that don't shout. They whisper, and the rums that bring out their warmth and balance. So if you're someone who enjoys a light Connecticut wrapper, or you're just getting into rum and cigar pairings, this is your episode. We'll walk through the profiles, a few favorite bottles, and the simple art of keeping things smooth. You know, Abby, when people start pairing cigars and spirits, they often jump straight to the bold stuff. Maduro cigars, barrel-proof whiskey, peaty scotch. But I always tell them, if you really want to learn how flavor works, start with something mild. A mild cigar forces you to slow down and actually listen to what's happening in the smoke.
That's true. The subtle ones don't hide anything. You can taste every little shift in flavor, every bit of cream or cedar.
Yup. A mild cigar is like conversation at sunrise. Quiet, thoughtful, and surprisingly revealing. You'll notice hints of toasted nuts, maybe vanilla, or a touch of spice if you're paying attention. And most of that gentleness comes from the Connecticut shade wrapper, grown under filtered light, producing that pale, silky leaf with delicate oils.
It's such a beautiful wrapper, too. Light tan, almost golden. It always reminds me of sand on a beach after sunrise.
That's the perfect image. And that smooth profile makes mild cigars incredibly flexible for pairings. You can go coffee in the morning, wine in the afternoon, or, what we're talking about today, rum in the evening. Now, the big mistake I see people make is thinking rum automatically means sweet. They reach for the darkest bottle they can find and end up masking the cigar completely. Mild cigars don't want a syrupy partner. They want balance.
So it's more about the texture of the rum than the color or proof.
For sure. Texture is the whole secret. With a mild cigar, you're matching smoothness for smoothness, like pairing silk with silk. You want a rum that brings warmth, a touch of spice, maybe a whisper of vanilla, but leaves room for the tobacco to breathe. Let's talk about that for a second. Rums, broadly speaking, fall into two main camps: pot still and column still. Pot still rums, think Jamaica, are bold and funky, great for fuller cigars. Column still rums, on the other hand, are lighter, cleaner, and more refined. That's where the magic happens with mild cigars.
And that explains why you're always talking about rums like Flor de Cana or Dorley's. They have that crisp, dry finish instead of that heavy sweetness.
Exactly right. I remember the first time I tried a Macanudo cafe with Flor de Cana Year Extra Seco. I was sitting on my deck early evening, maybe 20 degrees out, that soft Nicaraguan breeze in the glass, clean, mineral, and just enough oak. The cigar brought cream and cedar. The rum added brightness. It felt like they were having a quiet conversation, neither trying to be louder than the other. That's what a good pairing does. It balances the tempo. If the cigar is soft and smooth, the rum should echo that rhythm.
So what you're really saying is, don't chase intensity, chase harmony.
Yes. Pairing isn't about matching strength. It's about matching energy. A mild cigar has this gentle, creamy energy, and the right rum complements that with its own warmth. Here's how I like to test a pairing. Take a small sip of rum, just enough to coat your mouth. Wait a few seconds, let the alcohol fade, let the flavor settle. Then draw on the cigar slowly. If you feel that the flavors melt together, if the rum makes the smoke taste rounder, creamier, you've got a match. If the rum feels hot or sugary afterward, it's the wrong one.
That's a great trick. And honestly, it makes sense. Mild cigars are all about pacing. Rush them and you lose the experience.
The rum's doing the same thing. It rewards patience. And when you get that pacing right, something beautiful happens. You start noticing tiny flavor bridges. The vanilla in the rum finds the vanilla in the cigar, the oak finds the cedar, and suddenly the whole thing feels like a single flavor unfolding. And that's where we're heading today. 5 rums that do exactly that. Each one has a slightly different personality. One crisp, one warm, one spiced, one tropical, and one bright and clean. Together, they show just how versatile mild cigars can be.
I love that. And it's perfect for beginners, too. These are rums you can actually find on a shelf, not museum pieces.
Absolutely. Affordable, approachable, and perfectly in tune with creamy cigars. Let's take a short break, let our cigars settle, and when we come back, we'll pour a few glasses and walk through each one.
Sounds good to me. I'll grab the glasses. You're listening to the Cigar and Whiskey Podcast, your companion for cigar culture, whiskey wisdom, and everything in between. Want more? Visit us anytime at cigarandwhiskeyguide.com for articles, reviews, and pairing tips.
All right, we're back. Cigars are burning beautifully and the rums are lined up in front of us. Let's walk through 5 bottles that I think really show what mild cigars are all about. Smooth, balanced, and quietly complex. Let's start with a personal favorite, Flor de Cana Year Extra Seco. This is one of the cleanest rums you'll ever taste. It comes from Nicaragua, made at the base of a volcano, and what's special about it is how dry it is. There's no sugar added, no syrupy residue, just a whisper of vanilla, a trace of almond, and a finish that feels like a cool breeze. When you sip it with a mild Connecticut-wrapped cigar, it's like pressing reset on your palate. You take a draw after that sip, and suddenly the cigar feels fresher, lighter, even creamier.
It's kind of like a palate cleanser that happens to taste really good. I think people expect rum always to be heavy and sweet, but this one proves it can be elegant too.
Exactly. It's elegant without trying. And that dryness is what makes it work with lighter cigars. If you're smoking something like a Macanudo Cafe or an Oliva Connecticut Reserve, the Flor de Cana steps back and lets the tobacco shine. Next up, Bacardi Anejo Cuatro. This one's aged 4 years under the Caribbean sun, and it's the classic example of balance. You get soft caramel, a touch of vanilla, and a bit of citrus peel. Nothing too bold, just warm, round flavor. When you pair it with a mild cigar, something almost nostalgic happens. It reminds me of late afternoon, that golden hour when the light is soft, the air is calm, and you're just enjoying the rhythm of the day.
It's funny you say that, because Bacardi Quattro really feels like a comfort rum. It doesn't demand attention. It just makes everything taste smoother.
That's exactly it. It's the rum equivalent of background jazz. Subtle, steady, and completely satisfying. Now, for something with a little more personality, Appleton Estate Signature Blend. Jamaica's pride. It's a step up in complexity, a blend of pot and column still rums aged up to 10 years. The flavor opens with orange zest, brown sugar, and nutmeg. And then you get this lovely baked banana note that lingers. It's still mild enough to pair beautifully with Connecticut cigars, but it adds a tropical heartbeat to the smoke. I love it with a Monte Cristo White or a Romeo y Julieta 1875. Both have that creamy base that welcomes a touch of spice.
And I think that's where people start to realize that even mild cigars can feel layered. The rum adds warmth, a little dance of fruit and oak, and suddenly the smoke feels richer.
Absolutely. That's what I love about Appleton. It brings rhythm to the pairing. It's still polite, still smooth, but it knows how to keep things interesting. Then we have Dorley's 5-year Barbados Rum. Now, this one's the quiet achiever. It's made at Foursquare Distillery, one of the most respected producers in the world. Dorley's 5 is the definition of easy elegance. You get a gentle mix of almond, banana, and honey, followed by just enough oak to remind you it's been resting patiently in a barrel. When you pair it with a mild cigar like an Ashton Classic, you get this soft, dessert-like effect. Not sugary, just warm and comforting. It's the kind of pairing that makes you forget the time.
It's also really affordable, which makes it a great everyday rum. You can open it without guilt and still feel like you're treating yourself.
You bet. Dorley's is a reminder that you don't need to spend a fortune to find balance. It's a gentleman's rum at an everyday price, and that makes it a must-have for anyone building a home bar. And finally, Plantation 3 Stars, White Rum, the wild card of the lineup. Most people think white rums are only for cocktails, but this one's a blend of rums from Barbados, Trinidad, and Jamaica, and it's got real depth. It's bright, lightly fruity, and has just enough vanilla and sugarcane to feel round. When you sip it next to a mild cigar, it creates a clean morning sort of pairing, like cream stirred into coffee. It's perfect for brunch or a mid-morning smoke when you don't want anything too heavy.
And that's a really good point. Pairing doesn't have to be reserved for nighttime. A mild cigar and a white rum like Plantation can make for an amazing midday ritual.
It's the kind of pairing that reminds you this hobby isn't about excess, it's about balance. When you line all 5 of these up, you start to see the bigger picture. Flor de Cana brings dryness. Bacardi Quattro brings roundness. Appleton adds spice and rhythm. Dorley's offers comfort. And Plantation 3 Stars gives you freshness. Each one brings out a different side of the same mild cigar, which is the beauty of this whole thing. And together they kind of teach you how to taste. Once you've gone through these, you start noticing details you never paid attention to before. Not just in rum, but in the cigar itself.
That's the best part. Once your palate wakes up, every smoke becomes a little more meaningful.
So that's our 5 rums for mild and creamy cigars. Approachable, affordable, and all perfectly suited to that soft, balanced style. After the break, we'll jump into a quick segment of Humidor Notes, where we'll share a few tips for keeping those mild cigars fresh and flavorful. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Up next, open the Humidor files. Curious tales, odd facts, and the hidden lore of cigar and whiskey culture.
All right, before we wrap up, let's open up the Humidor for a quick set of Humidor Notes. We've been talking about mild and creamy cigars today, so it's the perfect time to share a few tips for keeping those cigars fresh and flavorful.
These are the ones that really show every detail, right? If they dry out or get too wet, you notice it immediately.
Precisely. Mild cigars are delicate. They don't have that thick Maduro wrapper to hide behind. The first thing is temperature and consistency. I keep my humidor right around 68 degrees and 68% humidity. Some folks obsess over perfect numbers, but honestly, it's steadiness that matters. Mild cigars don't like surprises.
So, basically don't turn your humidor into a sauna or a freezer.
Yeah, nice analogy. The second thing is not to over-humidify. That's a big one. Connecticut wrappers are thin and sensitive. If they soak up too much moisture, they lose their flavor and the draw turns sluggish. You'll end up with something that tastes dull instead of creamy.
That explains a lot. I used to think wetter meant fresher.
That's a common myth. Next, rotate your cigars. Every few weeks, move the ones from the bottom to the top and vice versa. Humidors can have little microclimates inside. If you don't rotate, you might end up with uneven aging or that funky, musty note nobody wants.
Good excuse to spend a little extra time with your collection, too.
Exactly. Now, if you buy a new box or even a few singles, let them rest for a couple of weeks before lighting up. Mild cigars need to settle in and adjust to their new home. That's when their texture and flavor balance really come back. And finally, keep your mild cigars away from the strong stuff. No infused or flavored cigars in the same humidor. Those delicate Connecticut leaves are like sponges. They'll pick up every scent around them.
So basically, treat them gently, give them space, and don't rush the process.
Exactly. They'll reward you for it every single time.
And that was another entry from the Humidor files. A small story, a bit of history, and a spark for the next smoke.
And that brings us back full circle. Today was all about smoothness. Smooth cigars, smooth rums, and the calm rhythm that happens when the two meet. If you take one thing away, it's that balance is where real flavor lives. Whether it's the dryness of Flor de Cana or the soft caramel of Bacardi Quattro, the best pairings never compete. They complement.
I love that. It's not about the biggest flavors. It's about the ones that linger just long enough to make you want another sip, another draw.
That's the soul of a mild cigar. Quiet confidence. And if you've been listening along with a glass in hand, hopefully you found a new favorite pairing tonight. Next time, we'll turn things up just a bit as we dive into medium and balanced cigars, the perfect bridge between mild comfort and full-bodied adventure.
I can already smell the cedar and spice from here.
You and me both. Thanks for joining us inside the Cigar and Whiskey Guide podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, hit follow and share it with someone who loves a good pour and a thoughtful smoke. Until next time, keep your glass half full, your humidor steady, and your conversations slow.
Thanks for listening to the Cigar and Whiskey podcast. Subscribe and share with a fellow aficionado, and keep the journey going at cigarandwhiskeyguide.com, where every puff and pour has a story.